So my name is Claire and I am the Events and Marketing Manager at Noisy Little Monkey. Noisy Little Monkey is a digital marketing agency and we are a HubSpot Solutions Diamond Partner, or we are based in Bristol in the UK, and as well as being a HubSpot Diamond Solutions Partner, we are also really good at search engine optimization, marketing automation, and sales enablement. And that's why we're running this newly formed Sales Enablement HubSpot user group today. It's the first event, so thank you very much for joining us. We had a few tech issues, but it seems like everything seems to be going well from here on out, so fingers crossed. So I introduced myself earlier. I'm the Events and Marketing Manager at Noisy Little Monkey, and you're probably wondering, why is the Events and Marketing Manager doing a talk on sales? And I had that exact same reaction as well when my boss, John, asked me to do this talk. But I did like any normal person would do when speaking to their boss. I said, yeah, sure, that's absolutely fine. And then as soon as their back was turned, I spent the next 5 minutes furiously Googling things like, what is sales enablement? And is this going to work? Yeah, there we go. So fortunately, HubSpot had a really nice, succinct answer to that for me. So if any of you aren't aware, I'll just recap now how HubSpot defines sales enablement. So HubSpot says that sales enablement is the iterative process of providing your business's sales teams with the resources they need to close more deals. So these resources may include content, tools, basically any knowledge or resources to help you effectively sell your product or your service to your customers. So in a more simple way, sales enablement is about helping your sales team sell and making it easier for your prospects to buy. So I read that and I was like, oh, okay, well, sales enablement is basically marketing. I do that. I create content, I create resources. I've probably got loads of stuff to share with you today, which can help you with your sales enablement strategy. But what I didn't want to do was just come at this talk from just a marketing point of view. So I got Katie, our host and our sales bod, to come to the office and meet me and have a chat about the tips that we have used for sales enablement for both Noisy Little Monkey and for our clients. This is Katie and I having a bit of a giggle after we've had a few too many wines. And what we're going to share with you today is the tips that we have found have worked really well for ourselves and for our clients. Don't worry, we weren't drunk when we were doing this presentation planning. But I am drunk now. Just kidding, I'm not. Cool, okay, so the tips that I'm going to share with you today are, there will be a couple based around aligning your sales and marketing teams. There'll be a few tips for qualifying leads and how to identify when a lead is sales ready. And there'll be a few tips as well for content and what works best in sales enablement. Pause for water because it's hot. So my first sales enablement tip for you today is that you want to make sure that you're aligning your sales and marketing teams around a unified goal. Typically, this is going to be related to money or revenue because that is what is important to your leadership team. So, for example, a unified goal for Noisy Little Monkey's sales and marketing team for Katie and I could be that between now and the 31st of December, we need to generate £200,000 of revenue for Noisy Little Monkey before the end of this year. That could be an example of a unified goal. And then once you've established what the sort of overarching goal is for your business, what you then want to do is turn that into something more granular and more meaningful for both your sales team and your marketing team as well. So here is an example of how we came to some meaningful targets for both Katie and I working at Noisy Little Monkey. So as you can see, written down here is that we need to generate £200,000 gross profit by the end of the year. I sort of made these numbers up, by the way. But for example, we need to generate £200,000 of gross profit before the 31st of December. And that translates into 20 closed-won deals with why have I forgotten that phrase? Average recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue I'm just going to assume that's right, of £10,000. So if you trace that back, you can see the maths that we've done. I say we, John did. And you can see what that translates into in terms of marketing qualified leads and what I have to deliver to the sales team, to Katie, in order for her to hit our gross profit targets. So what I've just described to you here in terms of I need to send 100 marketing qualified leads to our sales team, that is what is known as an SLA, or a service level agreement. Now, HubSpot says that in order to work out a service level agreement for your business, for your sales and marketing teams, you need the following. So you need to know what the average conversion rate from lead to an opportunity is. You need to know what the average conversion rate from an opportunity to a closed sale is. And then you need to know what the average value of a sale is for your business. One of the things I will say when you're sort of coming up with these SLAs, so your marketing team needs to send 1,000 leads a week to the sales team in order to hit your revenue targets. Make sure that the goals that you're setting are SMART goals. So make them specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And I think when you go in and you do those maths and you work out all of this stuff, so when you work out the average conversion rate from lead to opportunity and the value of the sale, etc., what that will do is it could potentially illuminate some sort of flaws in your marketing and sales plan. So for example, if it needs to be that your marketing team have to send 1,000 leads a week to your sales team, but there's only one person in your marketing team and they work 2 days a week, you know that that's not a SMART goal because it's not achievable. So creating a service level agreement really gives you insight to the impact and the resource that's available within your sales and marketing teams. You might not know these figures at all. Like if you're a startup, if you're a brand new company, you might not know these figures, and that's okay. Start from a baseline, and then increasingly, as you keep recording sort of how many marketing qualified leads you're generating a week, a month, a quarter, and how many of those are converting into opportunities or closed sales, your reporting will get more and more sophisticated, and you can tweak and review your SLA every month, every quarter, every half a year, etc. So just flex it to the needs of your business, but don't feel overwhelmed and think, I don't have that information, because we didn't have that information. And then we started using HubSpot and its reporting tool. And like I said, it really gave us some fantastic insights to help us forecast the amount of leads that we needed to generate in order to hit our revenue targets. This is the danger of having a fan right next to your desk. Oh, if I was Mariah, this wouldn't actually be happening. Get the hair out of the mouth. So what I was talking about there in terms of looking back and reviewing the sort of SLA that you've established between your marketing and your sales team, it's all about communication. So where you're reviewing how many leads are coming in and being sort of qualified well and becoming sales ready, there needs to be a feedback loop between your sales and marketing team so that they can have communication around what's working and what's not, basically. And this idea of a feedback loop and communication ties into my next tip, which is to set up regular marketing meetings. So HubSpot suggests that you do marketing meetings every fortnight. And a marketing meeting is basically sales and marketing combined. I don't know if that's a HubSpot coined term, but I like it. So HubSpot suggests doing them fortnightly. Obviously, this can totally flex on the needs of your business. You could do them once a month. You could do them weekly. Why not start off fortnightly and then see whether that suits the needs of your business, basically. Again, everything's flexible. You just tweak it. The purpose of a marketing meeting, if you haven't hosted them before, is to define your goals, agree on SLAs, and make sure that you are heading, your sales and marketing team are heading in the same direction. In terms of an agenda, you just want to keep it really simple. Like, this isn't a lofty strategy meeting. This is a granular troubleshooting meeting. And this is what we suggest you keep the agenda to. So just make sure that you use this time to identify problems within the sales and marketing tactics that maybe aren't working, come up with solutions, and then divvy out those tasks to members of your team. One of the questions I got asked the other day was, oh, can we invite the senior team to this marketing meeting? And I said, no, you don't want to invite your senior team to these marketing meetings, because like I said, then they exist to help you troubleshoot problems and solve for them. If your senior team come in, it's likely that they're going to derail the meeting and the focus. What you could do is you could invite your senior team once a quarter, have a special meeting, have cake and biscuits, make it exciting, get them to pay for their cake and biscuits. Almost said steak and biscuits, which would actually be quite nice. Right, what are we going on to next? This is it. So we've talked a lot, or I've talked a lot about leads and how many leads you should be generating as part of your sales and marketing strategy. But how do you know what a good lead looks like? Because as part of your service level agreement, what you don't want to be doing is, in order to sort of hit your KPIs, sending lousy leads across to your sales team. You could send them 100 leads a week, but if 99 of those are rubbish, your sales team are going to be wasting their time talking to loads of poor quality leads. And that is not sales enablement. It's not making it easier for your sales team to sell. So what you want to do is you want to use what we call at Noisy Little Monkey a fit matrix. So HubSpot calls this a slightly different thing. It refers to this concept as an ideal customer profile. And an ideal customer profile is basically a checklist of the attributes of what makes a successful customer for your business. We've sort of tweaked that slightly and made it a lot simpler at Noisy Little Monkey, which is why I'm referring to it now as a fit matrix rather than an ideal customer profile. But if you have heard that term before and you've done the HubSpot qualifications, that's sort of tied into the idea of finding your ideal customer. So the fit matrix for Noisy Little Monkey looks like this. Here is an example of our fit matrix. So these are the attributes that we ask of our prospects, and I say we, I mean Katie, when she is qualifying leads. So this, for us, these questions help us identify whether someone is a perfect fit to work with us in future. So some of the questions we ask is, do they want or do they use HubSpot? Do they work in our target sector? So Noisy Little Monkey works best with businesses which work in the SaaS space, professional services, B2B, and e-commerce spaces. That's who we work best with. So we like to identify whether they're in our target sector. Another question we ask is, are they female friendly? And we also try to weigh up or try to figure out whether they've got one person in their marketing team. Because historically, when we've worked with one-person marketing teams, that hasn't worked as well for us in the past. So these are just some of ours. Yours are going to be slightly different, depending on the values of your business. So for example, we have the question, are they female friendly? Which is what we use when we're qualifying prospects. And the reason that we have that question is because 75% of our leadership team are female, and we want to know that our potential clients work well within that ecosystem. So, for example, if you are a PR agency, a green PR agency, one of your questions here when you're thinking about your fit matrix could be, is this person sustainable or eco-friendly? So like I said, this is going to totally change depending on the values of your business. But those are just some ideas to get you started. I did tell you that it was quite simple, and you can see that I wasn't lying. This is a screenshot of the fit matrix which Noisy Little Monkey uses. It's literally just an Excel sheet with columns. We keep the questions binary, so it's just yes, no answers. So do they have a marketing department? Are they female friendly? Do they have the right budget to work with us? And as you can see down the column, we just give people a yes or a no for whether they fit that criteria. Again, how does this relate to sales enablement? It saves your sales team time when it comes to qualifying, because a quick look at that sheet, if someone's got 1 out of, say, 6 qualities, we know that they're probably not going to be as good a fit, or our sales team needs to spend less time nurturing that client versus the one that has sort of 6 yeses in the columns, for example. Lost my train of thought. I'm also going to have a drink of water. So with those, there are anomalies, obviously. If someone's only got 1 tick in the box, but they're a charity and you want to work with them because you want to do a good thing, that's fine. Like I said, it helps with the ease of qualifying your prospects for your sales time. It frees up their admin time, basically. So this is definitely something I'd recommend. It's a really simple, as you can see, it's a really simple thing to get going, and you can discuss it in one of your marketing meetings. Cool. So the next step, I guess, from once you've figured out what a sales ready lead looks like, is to get into the granular detail of what makes someone a good fit lead for your business. At Noisy Little Monkey, we use automation to do this. So this is a little screenshot of the HubSpot workflows tool in their back end. And what we do is, just to give you a brief example, I'll go to the next slide. Yeah, I will. Actually, no, I won't. Spoiler alert. So we use HubSpot's workflow tool to help us qualify our leads and flag them to our sales team. So to give you an example, some of the triggers in our workflow include this list of behaviors on our website. So if someone comes along to our website, a prospect, and they view our pricing page, they click on one of our PPC campaigns, maybe they fill out something on a contact us form, they go into a workflow which is triggered by that behavior. We filter out anyone which looks to be spam or has a free mail address. And then we mark those people as a marketing qualified lead. They go into a list, and then a task is flagged for our sales team to check them. Again, it's like sort of hands-off qualifying, if you like, especially if you have a site which has hundreds of thousands of visitors a year. Like your sales team have to put in very little effort to get these leads coming through and landing on their desks, because this is all ticking along in the background. So I'd highly recommend, if you're not utilizing it already, to use HubSpot's workflow tool. Here's a little screenshot of what that looks like. So I said earlier, on the left-hand side, you can see a screen grab of some of the workflow which we use to change contact properties of the contacts within our HubSpot CRM, and then also to create a task for our sales team. On the right-hand side, you will see an example of a personalized email. Now, hopefully you're already doing this, but what you can do when it comes to sales enablement is your contact us form. As soon as someone submits information on the form, send an automated email from your salesperson, letting them know that the inquiry has been received, and just managing that person's expectations as to when your salesperson will get back in touch with them. What this will do is this will set you out from your competitors, because not many people do this. Like, I think about the amount of times that I have filled out a form on a website and I've had nothing, no acknowledgement whatsoever. And then I'm like, well, does that form work? This will help set you apart from your competitors and also manage your prospects' expectations. Which is, yeah, again, wonderful for sales enablement, because Katie, who your salesperson, won't have to be panicking about catching up with all these leads, because we know that they've already heard from us and they're expecting to hear from us within X amount of days or X amount of hours. You can even personalize it way more than we've done here, depending on the information you collect on the contact form. So here we've only asked for the person's first name before they've submitted, but you could ask for their budget. You could ask for their company name. You can use all of that information to make a more intricate and sophisticated sales enablement process for your sales team. Cool. So in order for everything that I've just said to work efficiently and sort of tick over without your sales team having to do so much as lift a finger, you're going to want to create content for your website. She's pausing for water again. So content, where was I? So I'm thinking, when I'm talking about content here, I'm talking about it with a sort of sales enablement hat on. So not simply marketing content or content for social or thought leadership content, like specifically content which is going to help your prospects buy and help your sales team sell. I'm going to read out something which I've written down here because I couldn't memorize it off the top of my head, but it was some good stuff that Katie said. So when you're creating content in terms of sales enablement, you want it to answer common pre-sales questions for your prospects. So when your sales team is speaking to people on the phone who are inquiring about your product or service, what are the common questions that they have to answer? Write content about it. And that will save your sales team's time having to reiterate the same stuff they do on every call. Writing content like this helps to build trust, and it demonstrates authority for your brand. It can also help to act as a qualifier. So sales enablement content can help qualify leads for you, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail in a sec. And obviously it will save your sales team's time because all they need to do is write a blog about something which they often get asked about, and then all they have to do is hit send and send it in an email to the prospect. And hey, presto, time is saved. So when it comes to writing sales enablement content, I'm sure we're all familiar with this, the buyer's journey. We're all HubSpotters. We've probably heard it mentioned quite a few times. You want to make sure that the kind of content you're writing spans across the buyer's journey, basically. And I wanted to give you some examples of how Noisy Little Monkey does that so it can spark ideas for you and your team. So the awareness stage, your prospect is experiencing symptoms of a problem, and they're doing research to diagnose and understand what that problem is. So here's some examples which we have written for Noisy Little Monkey's blog, focused around all sorts of stuff that Katie speaks to people about all day. So SEO updates, social media. It's not just blog content. We've got webinars as well. You can see this one about local SEO. So we're producing content which helps answers the problems that our prospects are typing into the search engine, to Google, basically. Now, consideration stage content is slightly more helpful in moving the needle when it comes to sales enablement. So you can see here, the consideration stage content is where your prospect has defined their problem and they're actively researching all of the approaches to their issue. So really good examples of consideration stage content is sort of X versus Y content. So you can see here that we've written one which is called HubSpot CMS versus WordPress CMS, which is best for your business. So if you work in the sort of SaaS sector, this could be, I thought someone was behind me then, terrifying. So if you work in the SaaS sector, a blog like this could be really good. It helps your customer make a decision. So highly recommend writing sort of versus or comparison content. Again, even if you create a product, like, is your product quite similar to a competitor's? Why is yours better? X versus Y. Let your prospects know the features and benefits of what you're selling. And again, just a great resource for your sales team to send out to prospects, for them to share on social, for them to email across to someone after they've had a phone call. Another thing which works really well in this consideration stage is testimonials and case studies. You're literally getting your existing customers or past customers to be evangelists and advocates of your brand. There is no, in my opinion, no stronger marketing tactic than word of mouth referrals and someone else singing your praises. So again, if that's not something that you are using in your sales enablement strategy, I'd highly recommend you speak to your marketing team and your delivery team and see if you can create some case studies which show off basically the best work that you've done or the best product that you've made. It will really help your sales team just convert those people that are maybe just on the fence. And finally, decision stage content, so the content that pushes your prospect to use your product or service. So this might be like a free demo, a free consultation, or a request for samples if you're selling a product. Again, this is real bottom of the funnel stuff, but just something that exists to help capture contact information from prospects that your sales team can speak to them. So that's content. What I'd like to do now is just share a few tips I have specifically related to content, which you can try and implement in your sales enablement sort of content strategy. So this here is a screenshot of Noisy Little Monkey's prices for our SEO packages. this sits on our SEO service page. It didn't used to, it's only been there, I think, 6 months. So my tip for you is, and this goes against the grain slightly, put your pricing on your website. And I was clapping, so you know I'm being serious and making a serious point. I know it feels weird to put your pricing on your website because you don't want to reveal, you want to hold your cards close to your chest. You don't want your competitors to know because they might undercut you. But actually this has worked really well for us because this is exactly, your price is what often makes you stand out from your competitors. Like if you think about yourself and your purchase journey, so if you're a customer, what's one of the first things you think about when you're researching a new service, whether that's like internet, gas, energy supplier, like you want to know how much something costs. So why are you gating that information? Put it on your website. We actually put this on our website because Katie fed back to me that she was often getting asked, how much does SEO cost in sales calls? So put it on your website. If you know that your boss isn't going to go for it, why not do an experiment? Use HubSpot's A/B testing tool and see what the conversions are like for different pages on your website. And just run a test, and then you can prove and see if it works. Is that the only thing I was going to say about pricing? I think it was. I'll just skip on to the next. Okay, so sales teams and writing content. If you haven't got much content on your website at the moment and you don't even know where to start, I would highly recommend doing some keyword research. So this is all based in SEO and optimizing your content for Google, or rather the people using Google, your potential customers. How to do keyword research for content is a blog on Noisy Little Monkey's website. I will send around a link to it after this call. But basically you want to be writing content which answers the problems that your potential customers or your prospects are typing into Google. So just give them what they're asking for. I'll send around this blog. I won't go into detail. What we'll do is for another Sales Enablement HUG in the future, we'll do a talk around SEO for sales teams because you can just, you'd be sat here for hours if I started talking about it. Related to SEO though, I wanted to tell you about this tool. It's called Answer the Public. It's brilliant. I use it all the time and I wouldn't necessarily consider myself to be sort of like an SEO expert. I have a broad understanding of it, but I'm not very technical necessarily with it. This is a wonderful tool. It gives you raw search insights direct from the minds of your customers. Yes, I did take that directly from the Answer the Public's website. But what you can do is you type in a search term, so chocolate as an example here, and Answer the Public will churn out loads of ideas focused around your target keyword. So you really don't have to think that hard about what kind of content you can write on your website to attract people to your service and also to use within your sales strategy to be helpful and valuable and provide relevant content to the people that are considering using you. Another tip for you is to make sure that you are in constant communication with your sales team. Fan was a bad idea, guys, because it keeps going into my hair, keeps going into my mouth, and I'm sure I'm making quite peculiar faces. Hopefully spicing the talk up a little bit. So ask, when you're speaking to your marketing team, or when your marketing team is speaking to your sales team, get them to ask, what are 80% of the most common questions that you got asked on every single sales call? They will have really common questions that they regularly get asked. Go and write blogs which answer those questions so that your sales team can use them when they're prospecting. So like I mentioned earlier, I was talking about the pricing page at Noisy Little Monkey. Katie always got asked, how much does SEO cost? So now we have our pricing on our SEO page. And we've also written a blog called Average SEO Costs in the UK. Again, it's all part of that sales enablement process. It's making your prospects easier to buy from you and your sales team finding it easier to sell. Linked into content, this is a screenshot. It's not ours. I can't take credit of it. I think the company is called 98 to go if you search for them. This is basically a content library which they created to be used in-house. So if you are someone that works in a large marketing and sales team and you've just got hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content, And you want to make it easy for your sales team to recognize which piece of content is most useful during their sort of prospecting or the sales cycle. I would highly recommend creating a sales and marketing content resource. I love this because you can see, hopefully you can see my slides quite well, but along the left-hand side, they have organized content by pain point, by the common questions, and also by pushbacks. So in this example here, this refers to acupuncture. Pushbacks, too expensive, they're scared of needles, they don't believe it works. They've written content to address those prospects, pushback. And all your sales team need to do is go into the centralized location and click on the link, and it'll take them straight to it. I know that we've got quite a lot of content on Noisy Little Monkey's website, and we don't have anything like this at the moment, but it's definitely something that I'm going to create, and I really recommend that you do too. So if you are a marketer, you're tuning into this call and you're a marketer and you're struggling to get buy-in when it comes to sales enablement content, you're struggling to get buy-in from your sales team because they don't want to write content because that's not what puts commission into their pocket. One, it does. But some of the tips I can share with you is don't ask your sales team to write a blog. Just sounds like homework. In fact, I asked Katie to write a blog the other day, and now I've realized the error of my ways. You should reframe it as insights. It sounds much more exciting to share one's insights rather than write a blog. So try rephrasing the way that you frame that. If your sales team, say your sales director is too busy to write a blog, or your sales team aren't confident to write, ask someone in the marketing team to interview that salesperson and then turn that into content. Sort of less hands-on then, and someone who is much better and much more confident at writing content or has more time if they're in the marketing team may want to try that approach. So that's another tip for you there. Okay, right, video. Video has its own little section. We're almost at the end. Thank you. I imagine it's really hot where you are as well, and this you'd probably rather be sat outside with one of the aforementioned delicious ice lollies, so I won't keep you too much longer. The end is in sight. So this is all about video and how you should, if you're not already doing it, 100% using video in your sales enablement strategy. So Katie uses video loads for Noisy Little Monkey. She says, and I've got it written down, it's way better for rapport building between sales and prospects. It's way more engaging. It's quicker to create often as well. Once you get into the habit of doing it, it's really quick to send a video rather than a lengthy email. Again, it's all about saving time for your sales team. And it's much more efficient for the person on the receiving end, especially if you're talking to key decision makers who are busy and rushed, for them to hit play on a video, then think, oh God, I've got like another email with a wall of text to read. So definitely something to consider. This is an example of Katie using video in our proposal process. So if you are part of a company which offers quite an intricate service, and your proposals at the moment are pages and pages long and actually quite dull to look at, why not consider creating a proposal video? They're bespoke, they can be, I think, 10 to 15 minutes long, Katie told me before, which sounds quite time consuming, but actually what you're doing is you're sort of taking like a really intricate subject and you're putting it into the form of a video, so it's much easier for the person on the other end receiving it to digest. And then what you've also done is you've saved more time, because say the person that you've sent your proposal to needs to get sign off from their boss, you don't have to wait for your sales team to jump on another call or to discuss with the boss what the proposal is. They can just hit send on that video. So it's basically, you can just pitch again to someone else in the business without spending any more time doing so. One of the tools that we use in order to do this at Noisy Little Monkey is called Soapbox. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's by Wistia. It's a brilliant tool. It just uses your webcam and sort of laptop speaker and microphone to record, edit, and share videos. So that's what we use here at Noisy Little Monkey. I think there's a free version. Even the professional version is like $300 a year, so not super expensive. Or alternatively, you can use Vidyard. Vidyard integrates with HubSpot. We just, actually, no, we do have some Vidyard videos on our website. Vidyard is really cool because, as you can see from this screenshot, you can personalize the content in the video. So if you're sending a video to a prospect and you want to hold up a blank piece of paper, it can have their name on the piece of paper and it changes for each person that you send it to. Blows my mind. So yeah, check out Soapbox and check out Vidyard as well. So that was about using video if you're in a service-based company, but like I just wanted to share a quick example of what you could do if you sell a product. This is one that I found on HubSpot's YouTube channel, but if you have a product which you sell, why not create a demo of it or like show people the features and the benefits within a video, and then that way your sales team don't have to reiterate the same information on every single call. It's just freely available on the internet, so when your prospect is researching your business and your company, they can stumble across this video, and again, it helps nudge them further through the sales pipeline. This is going to play and I don't want it to. Ah, she's screaming. Okay, there we go. Woo! Good save, Claire. So we're at the end. Well done. Thank you for paying attention. I just want to recap some of the stuff that I went over during this presentation in case you zoned out from the heat. So tip number one, create a service level agreement between your sales and your marketing teams. Make sure that you have fortnightly catch-ups between the two teams so that you can troubleshoot issues. Create a fit matrix and figure out what an ideal customer looks like for your business so that your sales team aren't wasting time qualifying bad fit leads which aren't going to turn into cold hard cash. Use automation so that you can qualify leads without lifting a finger. And finally, create content and use video in a way which accelerates sales for your business.